Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel Admin Arch, and this week in 3D metal model news. Actually, not much new this week. It's more of kind of an update of a couple of things from last week. Starting as usual with Fascinations, the Fokker Tri-Wing plane model that I talked about 2 or 3 weeks ago has been renamed. It was originally the Baron von Richthofen, probably not going to say that correctly, Tri-Wing Fokker, has now been renamed the Fokker Fokker DR1 triplane. I want to say Doctor because DR period, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one that thought that, but doing a little bit of research and talking with friends, code wiki, it is actually the DR1 triplane. Why exactly they've renamed it, I can't say for sure, but on my own, trying to do a little bit of research on the internet to try and find out exactly how to say the name. Is it DR1? Is it DR.1? DR period I? Because at first I thought it was an I, not a 1. In my research to try and find out exactly what to call it, I watched an interesting little video that taught me a couple of things about the Red Baron plane. One of which is apparently there were only 320 made during World War I, so I guess a little bit of a limited edition thing. And the Red Baron, the infamous Red Baron, which is Baron von, whose last name I really can't say properly. This was one of the planes that he flew, was the color scheme that you see here for the DR1 plane that Metal Earth is about to release. Is the color scheme of 425/17. That some sort of designation, I'm not really sure, but the video said that this was the color scheme of the DR1 425/17. Apparently the Red Baron also flew other DR1s that had a different color scheme where the top wing and the rear half were red, and I didn't really say what the other colors were. But interesting, maybe that's why they've renamed it, because to avoid confusion, and maybe it was just an issue with having it as a specific person's name, but has now been renamed the DR1, which is not untrue. It is the DR1 model. Moving on to Peace Cool, there's no new models this week, but I do have a release date for the Erlang God or Erlang Shen model that I talked about previously. Previously, when I talked about it, that and the other two models that they were showing didn't have a release date for the Erlang. The release date is now December 15th, which is here in a couple of days. Another thing about release date is usually, at least for me here in the U.S., the easiest place for me to get Peace Cool models is through AliExpress. It is usually at least a week, maybe a little longer, before things start showing up. So even though it has a release date of the 15th, it could be a little bit after that before you can buy it online. As for those actually in the sales region of Peace Cool, which I believe is China, they might be able to get it on the 15th. And also, another interesting bit, according to GarthTube of YouTube, when it comes to the Concubine model that I somewhat embarrassingly talked about last week, apparently the Google translation is a little off. According to GarthTube, who claims that whose partner is Chinese, it is actually a Beijing opera model. So obviously a language barrier there, and I do not speak Chinese or read it, and I basically have to rely on Google Translate, which apparently got that a little wrong. So the comment that GarthTube made or left was on the previous video where I had originally talked about that model as well as the other two Peace Cool models. If you want to go back to that video and check it out for yourself, I believe that was last week's video that I mentioned those in. Of course, from here I went around and looked on AliExpress and places like Crazy Toys to see if there were any new models, and the only thing that I found is this same Beijing opera model, which is what I'm calling it now because I like that name a lot better. That model is available on Crazy Toys' website, crazytoys.co.uk, as well as their AliExpress store. Now, the other two models haven't shown up as of the recording of this video. This could change later in the day, so by the time you see this video, they may be out. But in the description down below, I will have links to both the Crazy Toys store and Crazy Toys AliExpress store, Crazy Toys website and Crazy Toys AliExpress store, because they sell in multiple locations to that particular model. And really there's nothing else. Any of the other stores that I favorited, I don't see any of them showing any of those Peace Cool models as well as any other new models to talk about this week. So as far as new model news, that's pretty much it. I do want to take a moment to add something that I keep forgetting to mention. I do these videos, I usually record this stuff early Friday morning to try and be as accurate as the new things as I can, but there are instances where things will start showing up after I've recorded it. It takes me time to record it, to edit it, to upload it, and get it out there, and usually the videos don't go live till 6 o'clock, but I'm usually recording this sometimes 7, 8 in the morning, sometimes even recording some of it the night before. So it is possible things will change, and if they do, if something new comes about, I will usually try to leave it in the description down below as well. So feel free to check there to see if anything has changed. It doesn't happen that often, but it has been known to happen. So if there are any new Peace Cool models that come out, then I notice that they come out after recording this, I will try to add them in the description and down below. Then that pretty much brings us to the topic or question of the week. And last week's topic that I brought up was I talked about my shelves and where I got them. The shelves back here behind me. The center shelf I actually picked up on Amazon. The other two were secondhand. And I talked about that last week, and I kind of ended the video asking the question, when it comes to displaying your models, what do you do? What do you use? And oddly enough, I only got one response to that question, and I almost didn't see the response because it was buried as a reply to other comments. Interestingly enough, I got several more comments on the fingerprint and glove thing from previous videos, and John Finnegan Jr., who did respond to last week's question, was buried under another question. Anyway, John Finnegan Jr. says, "Hi Brad, great video as always. As far as displaying my models, I go to the stores going out of business and buy display cases. You can get good deals on them. I have 2 huge Disney display cases from the Disney store I got for $175. I have watch cases, Zippo lighter cases, and some lighted and motorized. I've even bought jewelry cases similar to the watch display cases." And that's actually a really interesting idea. That is certainly a possibility if you've got some stores going out of business, and unfortunately these days that's happening a lot. There are stores going out of business. You might be able to pick up some of their display cases and use them to display your models. In my situation, these shelves, I use them because they're very narrow and they easily fit behind me, between me and the wall. But if you've got the money, that's an interesting idea. Speaking of closing stores, I almost forgot, AC Moore is, a lot of those stores are going out of business. I had mentioned that on, I think, social media a while back. While they haven't made an official announcement, my understanding is the AC Moore here locally has already started clearancing out stuff. I haven't had the time to swing by there myself, but some AC Moores do have 3D metal models. Swing by and see if you can't get anything at a discount price while you have the chance. Now, as I said, that was the only response that I received as far as the display model question, but I did receive a few more comments or responses on the fingerprint and gloves issue from Groove Builders. "Hey bud, I use Gorilla Grip disposable nitrile gloves. Personally, I find using a smaller size is a good idea because the gloves don't slip. You can get a box at Home Depot for $5 in Canada." And that's an interesting thought. If you don't know Groove Builders also builds 3D metal models, Metal Earth, and Peace Cool, and other models, as well as other things. Definitely check out Groove Builders' channel and see what he's got going on. I have noticed that he does wear black gloves, and now I know where to get them. I'm not in Canada, I'm in the US, but we have Home Depots too. I might go check that out. ILSRWY4, the fingerprint issue can be solved by painting, dipping, or spraying the model with Pledge Furniture Floor Wax. Removes or prevents future fingerprints. It also protects the model and even makes it shine. That is an interesting solution. Sounds a little bit brave. I would never have thought to do that myself. I may try it on a model. Actually, interesting enough, I've got a couple of knockoff videos, a couple of knockoff models that I did in videos quite a while back. They might be interesting guinea pigs to try that out. Might even make them look better. Robert McCracken. "I don't use finger cots either. The nitrile gloves are better than cots. To get rid of fingerprints on my Metal Earth models, I dip or spray with rubbing alcohol and use a Q-tip to get the cracks if needed. Don't use alcohol on color models though, it will remove the paint. That's a nice warning. I had wondered about that. The good thing about the painted models for me, they're a lot less likely to get fingerprint and they don't show as much as the silver models, at least in my experience, but I would have worried whether or not alcohol would take it off. Now I have done that with models where I'm trying to get rid of fingerprints and I will either use, I'll use alcohol and sometimes Q-tips to get in difficult corners, and I also have alcohol swabs, little tear packet, not little tear packets that you can get that have just a little pad in it, alcohol pads. I said swabs, but pads. And I have used those to kind of wipe in the clear areas and then follow that with like a tissue to dry it off so it doesn't streak as much. And the problem with that and the Q-tips for me is they so easily get caught on corners and tabs and sharp areas, and it just rips pieces off, and now you've got a new mess. So you can do that, but you've got to be careful. Albert Fish comments, just make sure your hands are clean and it's no big deal. And Albert Fish, you're not wrong that cleaning your hands before building a model is definitely a good idea, because dirty hands will certainly fingerprint a model. However, I have been down that road and my fingers just sweat. My hands sweat. Well, even if they're cold, they sweat. They just, my feet are the same way too, hands and feet. So even if I wash my hands for about 10 or 15 minutes, I'm fine. But then I end up starting to sweat and leave fingerprints on everything. So for me, it's a bigger issue than others. So thank you everybody for responding to the last couple of weeks' questions. Some interesting information that you've given me there, some things that I might have to try for myself. For this week's question, with the holidays coming very quickly, it feels like, I want to ask, do you have any special builds or special 3D metal model related plans for the holidays? If anything, any special events that you're planning to do, any models that you're planning to get or give, or just anything special you're planning on doing related to Metal Earth and Peace Cool or 3D metal models that you'd like to share. Leave your comments in the description down below. I really can't say that I have anything special planned. As far as my friends locally, I'm the only one that builds these models. Everybody respects and somewhat admires the collection that I have behind them. And I have built a couple of models for other people, but no one has the interest in it around here that I do. So I actually have a difficult time getting people to buy me models, my friends' models, for the holidays and birthdays and whatnot, because they're never sure which ones I have. So I have so many back here, and I have even more in a drawer behind me that are waiting to be built. I have such a collection, it's hard to know. It's even hard for me to keep an updated list on Amazon. Anyway, leave your answers in the comments down below. Whatever plans that you have, 3D model metal related for the holidays, I'm curious to know. I'll leave it at that. Thank you to my Patreon supporters for continuing to support this channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you to all of you who interact and leave comments and make these videos even more interesting. And as always, see you next week. Keep on keeping on.